Next up in inner work, specifically talking about active imagination, is a thought that kept cropping up in my head as I was reading through this part of the book and making all my different highlights. But instead of trying to go through all my highlights because I made like way too many of them and find the most fitting highlight or quote from the book to use, I'll just use the first one that made this thought pop into my head. So he writes, although Jung held dreams in high regard, he considered active imagination to be an even more effective path to the unconscious. The difference is this: when you dream, you receive signals from the unconscious, but the conscious mind does not participate. When you wake up, the conscious mind can remember the dream and think about its meaning, but during the dream itself, the conscious mind cannot actively participate. In active imagination, by contrast, the conscious mind is awake. It participates consciously in the events. So this being a lucid dreaming channel, I'll just ask the obvious, like what about lucid dreaming? Like to me, that seems like the most ideal place to have one of these active imagination type dialogues with a dream character. Now granted, in a lucid dream, you can't be constantly exiting out to, write down word for word what's going on as it's happening. But to me, that just seems like the most authentic place to have one of these interactions. But then also just from my own personal lucid dreaming practice and interacting with dream characters over the years, the majority of dream characters you run into, they don't really give you like really deep, meaningful responses to your questions. Now you can learn to search them out, and occasionally you'll find these like really powerful type archetypal dream characters that like stand out for one reason or another, and they can give some really awesome, insightful responses to your questions, but they're kind of hard to come by. But then also in rebuttal to that, right, when you're doing active imagination, you are specifically like searching out these more powerful archetypal dream characters, right, to have this dialogue with. So I could see, I could see the kind of difference there. Just that in my practice, and it's only been a couple weeks of me trying this, right, anytime I would try to like just imagine one of these more archetypal dream characters, it still felt like I was kind of just making it up and it didn't feel authentic to me. But he does write in this book later that we'll hopefully get to, where like even if you feel like you are making up the responses, that still can be beneficial because it's still coming from your subconscious. So I guess I just got to keep playing in this space and seeing if I can like actually understand and learn how to do this. But this also makes me think of one other thing, and I'm not sure if Jung actually thought this or if this is more of like a more modern thing that Jungian analysis people tend to say. But I've heard some people say that like if you're lucid, like your lucid dreams, they're not as beneficial for trying to learn stuff about yourself as non-lucid ones, because the fact that your ego is there and you're lucid in the dream kind of can muddy up the waters and mess up some of the responses or mess up some of the information that your dream might be giving you. But then if that is the case, then doesn't that kind of fly in the face of the whole active imagination thing? Like I said, though, I'm not sure if Jung actually thought that, or if this is just what I've seen some people say on the good old internet over here. But nonetheless, that's just some of my thoughts there. And until the next video, keep your dream work practices legit.